Hello. So, welcome to this branding series. How are you guys doing? Okay, fantastic, fantastic. So, today I'm going to be teaching three key things in the series. So, the first part of the series will be looking at what is a brand. Then, the second part is common mistakes that people make when it comes to branding. And then the last part is a step to step guide on how to create a brand in Nigeria. And that's very important. Now, let's start with the first part, which is what is a brand? And I'll start with a story. I remember for me starting business and made a lot of mistakes. And one of the key issues that I faced was I didn't understand the idea behind branding or a brand. And my thinking all the while was that a brand usually has to do with a logo, colors, Pantone, and that was my thinking. And I started business and I had the challenge where I couldn't sell a lot. I was only selling a few. And then business was not growing as I expected. And it was a concern. It was a big concern. So I started finding out, why don't I have loyal customers? How come my customers are not loyal to me or the business? We don't have returning customers as we should. So we're spending a lot of money on advertising to find new customers. Then I stumbled through my master's class in marketing about the idea of branding, and then I delved into it. I learned a whole lot. So what I want to do is to share with us first today, what is a brand? And what you should know is a brand is more than a company name or a logo. Those things are called brand identity, and they're components of a brand really. But there are other components of a brand that we must look at. So let's first take a definition of a brand, then I will share some insights about it. So a brand is more than just a logo or a product. It encompasses the overall perception and reputation of a business, product, or service in the minds of consumers. A brand represents the identity, values, and personality of a company and serves as a means of differentiation from competitors. Now, what that means is that with our brand, we can differentiate ourselves from competitors. I usually say in simple terms that a brand is a promise that you have made to the customers. And once you fulfill that promise, then the customers are going to experience what we call the brand experience, and they're going to be loyal. Think about it. If you make a promise to somebody and then you break the promise, what happens? Yeah, loyalty. The person feels like, yes, trust has been broken. So your business must be seen as a promise. So the question then is, what are you promising? And what would then do is that we will take a look at the different components of a brand, which will help us understand it better. So we're going to look at brand identity, brand values, brand perception, brand promise, brand reputation, brand experience, brand differentiation, consistency, and then we wrap it up. So let's go. I would advise you to get a pen and paper so that you can have a better understanding of what a brand is. The first part of a brand is the brand identity. And it says a brand has a distinct identity that includes its name, its logo, its visual elements, and other tangible elements that help identify and distinguish it from others. There are some popular brands around which, if I call their name, you are very familiar with. Coca-Cola, household name. Apple, household name. Nike, household name. GT Bank, all together. So part of the branding concept is to have a unique identity. Your name should stand out. That's the first thing. Secondly, your logo, the Nike swoosh that looks like a pass mark. All together. The McDonald's golden axe, Starbucks, the mermaid, GT Bank box. You need to have a logo that also stands out that people can quickly recognize. Then visual or audio elements. Netflix soundtrack. Dudum. Even if your eyes are closed and you hear it, you can quickly know that this is what? Netflix. You know, I remember when Oraimo, the earpiece, came into town and they used Two Face as their brand ambassador. So once you see that Two Face billboard, you know that this is what? Oraimo. So the first part I've discussed is the brand identity, which is supposed to be visual identities that make you stand out. But let's move into something a bit more non-tangible, which is the brand value. Brand often have a set of core values that guide their actions and decision making. These values reflect that the brand, what the brand stands for, and the principle it upholds. You know, when we talk about core values, most businesses don't have core values, and usually we express them in technical terms as a brand mantra. This is not your look. This is not your payoff line or your trademark line. No. So the brand value is something that guides you. I will give you an example. Disney, back in the day, when Disney was coming up and they were making a lot of money, so eventually they needed to create a brand value. Why? Because different people were approaching them to use the Disney character for things that did not even have any form of affiliation with what Disney stands for. So they came up with a mantra which says fun, family, entertainment. That's their internal mantra. So they said anything that we are doing, if it is not fun, if it is not family oriented, and if it is not entertainment, then they cannot do it. So it has to be fun, it has to be family oriented, and it has to entertain. So that's their core value. What's the core value of your business? What is it that guides you? The principle that guides that business. So you need to have a core value. Do you understand that? Let's look at Tesla under core value. The core value says innovation, sustainability, and clean energy. It's not possible for you to see a Tesla car that uses fossil fuel, petrol or diesel. No, 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 no. That would be wrong. So you know Tesla pioneers green, Johnson going green, clean energy. So they pioneer batteries. Are we together? So everything they produce must reflect that core value. Your business, your shoe business, your tailoring business, your online business, your Instagram business. What is the core value that guides you? So we look at the next one, which is perception. Ooh. So it says a brand is how customers and the general public perceive a business or product. It includes the emotional associations, experiences, and beliefs that people have about the brand. Now, when we talk about which network in Nigeria has the widest coverage, MTN, that's what comes to mind. I've not been to Kano, I've not been to Sokoto, but somehow I have a perception that MTN has what? Widest coverage. I don't know how that grew on me. Maybe it's because of that pay offline, which we're going to look at. So it is important that as a business, that you also engineer the perception of your brand. If you don't, you can have a negative perception. And that's very wrong. Are we together? So you have to be deliberate about the activities that create the perception that you want people to have of your brand. Now, the next one is brand promise. I spoke about a brand being a promise that you have made to the customers. I remember a friend of mine was going to start a logistics company, a dispatch rider company. And then he said, Babadi, I want you to advertise for me. I said, okay. But then I asked him, what is it that you want to do differently? What are you promising your customers? I said, what's the biggest headache in that industry? He said, oh, the dispatch rider guys disappoint a lot. I said, is it possible that you build your entire business process by ensuring that same day delivery, anytime somebody books JDK Logistics, that they deliver what? On the same day. So that will be your promise. JDK Logistics, number one in same day delivery. And once you make that promise, you must be able to fulfill it. Then everybody becomes familiar with that promise. And there are quite a number of companies and their promises that we see through their pay offline. Glow, grandmaster of what? Data. What are they promising? Lots of what? Data. Oh, that's important. Do you understand that? So you must have what? A promise. Now, the next one is reputation. It says a brand's reputation is the collective opinion and perception of customers, stakeholders, and the public regarding the brand's performance, reliability, and credibility. Reputation talks about your past, what you have done what in the past. If I say Honda cars, what comes to your mind? Bad leg, bad wheel. Once you are driving and you see a car that's broken down, what car? Honda. They have a poor reputation when it comes to their wheels. If I say Toyota, good second-hand value, right? That's a reputation. That, oh, they have good second-hand value. So you must understand that as well. That you have to engineer your reputation. You have to engineer what? Your reputation. And your reputation is built on consistency over time. So we also have, the next one is what? Experience. We call it the brand experience. You have made a promise. JDK Logistics, number one in same-day delivery. Are you upholding that promise? When customers come in contact with your brand, the touch points, all the points where they come in contact with the brand, are they experiencing the promise that you've made? And this is what builds loyalty. You know, I remember when I started going to Daystar, I wanted a church that could fit into my timeline because I used to work on Sundays. And when I got to Daystar, my experience was that what? Clockwork precision, orderly and organized. That was my experience with the church. And I've been loyal to that church. And then it's important for us as business people to ensure that our promise matches with our what? Brand experience. Then we have a brand must differentiate you from competitors. It says a strong brand sets itself apart from competitors by highlighting its unique selling points, distinctive qualities, and value proposition. It positions itself in a way that makes it stand out in the market. OPay is an example of differentiation. OPay says fast transactions with zero COT, no transaction failure. That is what they built their business upon. And that's what makes them what? Unique. What is your business built upon? What makes you different from the competitors? Why do I buy from you and not the competitor? You need to have a unique selling point which differentiates you from the competitor. Okay? So we have what? Consistency. I spoke about that. For you to build reputation, you have to be consistent. There is no simple fact about it. And consistency says brands strive to maintain consistency in their messaging, visual identity, customer experience, and overall brand representation. Consistency helps create recognition and reinforces the brand image and values. You know, a brand that fascinates me a lot in Nigeria is Mega Chicken. I eat there and I like their food. But something about Mega Chicken is that I've never gone there to eat pounded yam, which is my favorite, and they tell me there's no pounded yam. They are consistent in the taste, they are consistent in the availability, they are consistent in the variety of choices. Truly a mega brand, as I like to call it. You know, that's very important, very key. Now, know this. Successful brands evoke positive emotions, build trust, and establish strong connections with their target audience. They create a sense of loyalty and preference, making customers choose their products or services over others. Building a strong brand requires strategic planning, consistent execution, and continuous efforts to deliver on the brand promise. And I want to close out this session today. In the next series, I'm going to be discussing common mistakes people make about brands and branding. And then in the last series, I'll be discussing how to build a brand and showing practical steps you should take. Thank you very much. I do hope that you now understand what a brand is and what a brand isn't. So a logo or your name is not a brand. That's your brand identity. There are several components that make up a brand. And I hope with this message that you can start the process of building a brand that will win you lots of loyal customers. Enjoy the rest of your day.